Alright, welcome ladies and gentlemen. We are here with the reworked NOX, the brand new kit on her, just to prove that. Look at that. Look at that. That is so cool. Alright, so we can go over Conquest with a NOX and then go into other game modes right after that. So starting with Conquest, we're going to talk about the middle lane since she doesn't really fit anywhere else in the current meta. So let's go into that. Now, starter items, you definitely want to have a starter item in Conquest. It's highly recommended, and the recommended starter item is the Vampiric Shroud. We're really looking at the passive just for the really high sustain, so that way you don't have to go back to base as much and walk all the way back into the middle lane, as well as the 100 HP. It's really nice to have compared to the other optional one would be Soulstone, which I would definitely not recommend. That's not that great for Nox, but definitely go with the Vampiric Shroud. And now, as the recommended tab does show us, as they have definitely upgraded the recommended side, you definitely want to go into a tier 1 item back to back with your Vampiric Shroud when you pick it up in the beginning of the Conquest match. The Lost Artifact gives you an additional MP5 from the same point of the sustain, and then you build it up into multiple branches, but we get into that a little bit later. Now you can go into a different tier 1 item. You can go into the Lifesteal branch and then pick up the Tiny Trinket. If you're picking up Tiny Trinket, you're pretty much looking to build this up into Bancroft's Talon for the the Lifesteal, really nice high magical power spike, and a fairly decent passive to pick up. Or you're picking up the Divine Ruin to shut down any healers on the other team, or high health regeneration gods like Shock of Amana, Hercules, gods like that. If not, more than likely be sticking with the Lost Artifact. Now, after you pick up your... Don't give me a warning, please. After you pick up your tier 1 item, if you're choosing, you definitely want to go into boots. Shoes of Magi or Shoes of Focus, it's really personal preference. Whichever one you want to pick up, they're both fairly good. For Nox, let's just stick with the Shoes of Magi to get to. After you finish your boots, if you're choosing, go back into your tier 1 item and finish that up to whichever branch you want. You can go to Chronos Bennett, works really well with every single mage, or you can go into the Doom Orb if you're looking for a lot of damage. Now, the thing about Doom Orb to be cautioned about is it is like Heartseeker if you're more familiar with that. If you do die, your stacks are cut in half. So you build it up to 50 stacks, you die, boom, 25, die again, it gets cut in half, multiple times after that. So if you're not too good with the game or with the god you're picking up the Doom Orb with, you probably don't want to pick this up. But let's just stick with the Chronos Bennett for now. After you finish your boot, you can go into stack items. At least in the Pro League, the stack items have kind of gotten out of trend, but maybe for ranked matches or casual matches, these stack items may still be fairly decent to pick up. You can go into the Warlock Sash. We're pretty much looking at the HP aspect for the Warlock Sash compared to the other stack item, which is the Book of Thoth. The one good thing about picking up Book is that it gives you more magical power just by picking it up. Just without stacks, just picking it up, it gives you more power just because it translates 3% of your total mana into magical power. So picking it up, at this stage of the game, you're a little bit higher level, and with gaining levels, you gain more mana, and more mana means more power. So just right off the bat, picking this up will give you more magical power. So let's just go with that. I mean, whichever one is fine to pick up, and then at this point, you definitely want to go into a penetration item. If you don't want to go into the stacked item, you can go to like a penetration item now instead of the stacked item. You can go that route if you want. But let's just continue with what we have now. Sorry. We can go to Obsidian Shard, or we can go with the Spear of Magus. With this reworked Nox, the Spear of Magus may be better to pick up, just for the fact she does have 2 damage over time effects to easily apply the 2 potential stacks of the Spear of Magus. Also, the best thing about the Spear of Magus is the flat penetration. The flat penetration is best against gods that don't have magical protection scaling, or not that much, or they're just not building it. So that's when the flat magical penetration is really strong. So the 2 damage over time effects is her 1 Once you do hit it with the god, it does, you know, kind of just roots them in place, does damage over time. Also, the nice ultimate slams them with flat damage and then does a damage over time effect if you look at the tooltips for her abilities. Continuing on with the build, the current meta, magics don't last that long as they used to, so you probably want to go into the Rod Tahuti at this point. Right after your penetration item. Now, if you don't go with the stacking item, you pick up pin, and then you can pick up Rod Tahuti, and then, or you can delay the Rod Tahuti. It really depends on your playstyle. Like it's all situational with building things in Smite. Like, you don't really want to cookie cut a build off you see online into the, you know, situation you're in now. Like, it can really vary depending on the team compositions. Now, selling the starter item, you can sell that, you know, mid to late game. You don't have to wait till after you build your last item slot here to go back and sell it. You can sell it whenever you want, just to give you that bonus gold to buy something else. At this point, you can go back and buy whichever item you want. You can go back to Bancrofts. With the current kit for NOX, you could probably apply the Gem of Isolation stacks fairly easy. Like I said, the same thing with the Spear of Magus. You can apply it. You can apply this Gem of Isolation 25% slow with, you know, her one or her ultimate. So that may be a decent item to pick up. And now going into other game modes real quickly. Assault as always. You definitely want to go into Chrono Spin as your very first item. It gives you the high MP5 that you need because you can't go back to base. It gives you the cooldown reduction, real high magic power. Then after that, you go into your boots, and then you're pretty much rested to build. You know, you can go into penetration. Assault, you can't obviously get stacking items, so there's no need to worry about that. Also, Bancroft's Talent. Bancroft's Talent for mages is actually fairly good in Assault. I mean, lifesteal, obviously, to keep you more sustained. Also, if you do take damage, it just means your abilities do more damage with the Bancroft's Talent passive. Now, with going into Arena is pretty standard. You can maybe start with the Chronos Pendant, but probably is best to go with the boots. Boots of, you know, whichever one you choose, the Focus or the Magi. And the thing about the Assault and just game modes that don't really last too long is just rushing. It's just rushing the heavy priced items early. So pretty much you're looking at something like this. Then you go into like Rod Tahuti. I like to do this. It's get Rod Tahuti or the Book of not the Book of Thoth. Where's the other one? The Soul Reaver. There we go. The other side of the branch, the Soul Reaver. Picking up Soul Reaver and Rod Tahuti around these two item slot areas, because in Arena, you know, you don't really get to finish your last item, especially if you're not too fed. So if you are going to go with these really strong and high priced items, pick it up around these item slots, just for the fact that the magics don't really last too long. And then the last item slot, you know, it's whatever item you wanted to pick up before, but it's not really high priority, like Gem of Isolation or something like that. Going into actives are always situational. One active that is good no matter what god you play or where, you know, game mode it is the Purification Beads. It's the hands down best active in the game, just to remove and be immune to CC effects for, you know, a short duration. You can never go wrong with that. Like I said, everything else is just all really situational to pick up. Now, that pretty much wraps it up for the build video. Hope you guys found it helpful for any new players out there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.